Hello, everyone, and welcome to HY Dyslexia live show, all things dyslexia. What's a wonderful, wonderful place to be this evening, sharing all things dyslexia with our dyslexic community. My name is Elizabeth Techi. I'm the founder and the CEO of HY Dyslexia. And today we have got one phenomenal guest who will be speaking to us about his dyslexia journey. He is an awesome, awesome entrepreneur who's done great work, and he has dyslexia. And I think having the gentleman, who I will mention and introduce his name in a second, on this live show is a true inspiration to myself and to many more people who will be watching today. If you've joined us from wherever you join us from, I'd like to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to All Things Dyslexia live show. If you have joined us, do share it. If you're on Facebook or maybe YouTube, do share it with your friends and family about what we will be discussing today. And we just want to say a great big thank you to our funder, which is Black Funding Network, for funding this amazing live show that go to millions of homes, and people can engage with all the different discussions that we have regarding dyslexia. Last week's show was absolutely phenomenal. We had amazing Daniela Baidu on our live show, and she spoke about all the different things that she'd been struggling with. And to be honest with you, I want to remember the title, but I've actually forgotten the title. That's typical of me, isn't it, with my dyslexia? But welcome, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sharing our program with the many people. And also, it's such a great place to be. Do ask the questions. The purpose of this live show is to ask as many questions as you want to. And of course, we will find the time to respond to you. But on this live show, we will be able to answer your questions for you. And if I don't know the answer, the gentleman we've got, which I'm about to mention his name, David C. Hall, would have the answer for you. So today's live show is titled Dyslexia, My Entrepreneur Journey. We have the amazing David C. Hall, who's a best-selling author, learning coach, and a motivational speaker. David C. Hall is a best-selling author, like I said before. He founded Potential Unlock in 2017 and is renowned for unlocking potential in children, young people, and adults. After a childhood of special educational needs, dyslexia, David was underachieving. I'll just flip my page if I can. And he was 4 years behind his peers. David created strategies that significantly improved his academic performance and empowered him to achieve GCSEs 5 grades above his predicted attainments. He has dedicated his life and work to unlocking children and young people's learning potential, to discovering their newfound potential, improving their academic performance, finding greater contentment, and achieving a passion-driven career. Now, this show will be really, really phenomenal, particularly if you are dyslexic and you are thinking, actually, do I want to run my own business or whatever it might be? It is inspirational, whichever way you look at it. I'd like to now introduce the amazing guest that we've got this evening, David C. Hall, to HY Dyslexia Live Show. David, hello, and welcome to All Things Dyslexia live
Thank
show.
you so much, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Such an honor to have you on our live show, honestly. We've been hunting you down for a very long time, and we finally found you. And I was so excited when our researcher, Elia, finally got hold of you and said, oh, David is coming on the live show to talk about his entrepreneurial journey. Now, I've got a bit of an antisocial going on here. I've got my dyslexia glasses on. And that's how best I read. And I think the older I get, the worse it gets, by the way, David, with words on paper and so forth. So if I seem a bit sort of antisocial, it's not deliberate, it's so I can read. So I might take it off and put it back on at some point. But I want you to introduce yourself to our listeners and our viewers. Tell them who you are, what you do, and why you set up Potential Unlock. Over to you, David.
Sure. Well, I'm very pleased to be here this evening. And so I'm David C. Hall. I run a company called Potential Unlocked. And essentially, we train children and young people in a greatness to lead a fulfilled, successful, and a transformed life. Because I believe children, young people, and you watching today have potential inside of you to be unlocked. I've been featured in a range of newspapers, to include the Birmingham Live, the Voice newspaper, the Phoenix newspaper, also been in a Forbes magazine also. So that's a bit about what we do at Potential Unlocked. Supporting young people to discover their learning flow, and so they can be progress and do well in life in a holistic sense, to be fulfilled, successful, and transformed. Transformed in a sense of a renewed mindset to excel in life in general.
Right. Thank you so much for that introduction, David. Now, your journey with dyslexia hasn't been plain sailing, has it?
It
No,
hasn't, no, it
it
hasn't.
hasn't. Right. So take us back to when you were diagnosed with dyslexia. Take us back to that point. Mhm.
Sure. So I was diagnosed with dyslexia early on, when I was roughly 3 years old. And as I started reception school, I have memories of really struggling with schoolwork. Um, in infant school, I was appointed a speech therapist to support me with my speech delay because it was massively delayed compared to my peers. As a result of being dyslexic in the 1980s, I was state mentored, and essentially school was really challenging. I mean, to the point where I had issues around confidence. Whenever I would be asked to read in public settings, people would be laughing at me because I would mispronounce words, add words in, take words out. And school became a really challenging time for me in my life. So much so that I really struggled, as I previously said, and I was in bottom sets across the board at school. When I got into year 6, I was reintegrated back into mainstream, but even then, I was assessed as being not 1 year or 2 years, but 4 years behind my peers in primary school. So in my SATs, which you take in year 2 and year 6, uh, once in year 6, I had a level 2, which made me 4 years or one key stage behind my peers.
Right. And look at you today, David. One of the most successful, I'm going to use the word black male, who's got dyslexia, who's doing really great work. I will mention black in our conversation a lot because one thing we do find at HY Dyslexia is that, for example, male, it's a bit difficult to reach the male community, if I must say. You know, sometimes people come to us and they say, yeah, no, I know I've got dyslexia and that, and I do want the help, but we start the process and sometimes it kind of drops off. And it's quite heartbreaking to see that we can't see it through to the end. And I think it's great that you're in this space to talk about your journey and all the different struggles that you went through. Hello, Nasa. Nasa always joins us every, or is it Nisa rather? He joins us live every other week, if I can say over every week. And he's actually put a question up. He said, how did your dyslexia get tested at 3 years? Are there special tests? Because I know
That's a,
we do dyslexia assessment at 7. So I think from 3 years, did your parents, I don't know, maybe it wasn't a full diagnostic dyslexia. I don't know what, maybe speech therapy, or it might be one of them, but I'll leave you to explain that to our listener. Or our
Yes,
viewer.
great.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Because there's somebody else in the family who is dyslexic as well. So my parents were very much aware of the signs of dyslexia.
Mhm.
So they was able to get that support quite early on, which helped me out massively in that I had the support early on to begin to make strides in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah. So you were one of the fortunate ones, David, that got diagnosed. I'm gonna take my glasses off for a bit so that it's not so much antisocial now. So you were one of the ones that was diagnosed earlier on, and very fortunate, I think, if I can use that word. I know dyslexia is on the spectrum, and some is severe. Some people have got severe dyslexia. Some got mild, and some manage everyday tasks. Now, we at HY hear stories of people being diagnosed at university, maybe doing a PhD, for example. Now, by this time, it's very, very too much late. If I can use all that I've just said, which was a bit mumbo jumbo, but it's really too late at this time. So they've struggled all along and they've come this far, and it's just this time that they found out about dyslexia. So, what kind of advice would you give to someone who have just been diagnosed with this condition and thinking, what do I do? I mean, you were very fortunate to have been picked up very young. I'm not saying it was easy, but I'm just saying that I'm just kind of wishing most of us were diagnosed at, let's say, 7 or 8. My diagnosis came through at 32 years of age. By this time, I had failed both work and education system drastically. So, if someone just been diagnosed, I mean, the trauma of even finding out sometimes. I always say, look, after diagnosis, we kind of need some kind of counseling yeah.
Yes, I mean, what I would say to someone who's been diagnosed later on in life, or even early in life, the fact still remains that three things can really impact success levels or attainments, for a better word. In my case, though I was voiced behind my peers, I was able to develop a learning system with my parents' support, and have the support of tuition that helped me to achieve 5 grades above my expected by
Mm.
developing a learning system which I've now used to support my students at my training center, where we train people in a greatness. But back
Yeah.
to your original question, what I have
Mm.
found with working with students, our client students, is three. They tend to struggle for three key reasons. The first one, I would say, being dyslexic or having neurodiversity. The first one, essentially, it would impact yourself, your confidence, your self image, how you see yourself. And so we kind of resign to the idea that we're not intelligent, that there's something wrong with me, and this is my lot in life. If you're watching this evening, I want to encourage you that being dyslexic is not your disability, but it's actually your gift. I will say it to you again: being dyslexic is not your disability, but it's actually your gift. So please be encouraged. And the reason why I say that is because people who are dyslexic, like myself, science has suggested that we tend to be a lot more creative. We tend to be a lot more creative with solving problems. We've been a lot more people oriented. And so there are career paths that lends itself really well to being dyslexic. And I'll dive into that a bit later in more detail. But the other reason why people tend to not flourish really well is due to not having the right support network around them, by way of not being aware of the signs of being dyslexic, around reading, around pronouncing words, around writing, and other skills which can be hampered by being dyslexic. And the last one I would say is not having an effective strategy, which will take you from a place of struggle to success. And that strategy is not necessarily or about also about learning, it's about strategy in general, which will include learning. And so people who are dyslexic are what I call a creative learner. And so what happens is that when we are born creative individuals. That's how we are born creative. We're thinking pictures on a subconscious level. But going through formal education, we have been therefore been trained to be an academic. So, for example, we're thinking pictures, but be trained to be an academic, we're taught to use words to explain what we can see through our mind's eye. But people who are dyslexic are not able to make that transition of being creative to being an academic. And so they will be in middle to bottom sets and struggle. But I've developed a learning system that help people who are dyslexic and the people who struggle as well with education to be able to learn in more creative ways, so they're still able to attain high grades, but learning in a way that's more creative and more aligned to the learning flow, so they can flourish in that sense. So learning becomes more of a passion as
Mhm.
opposed to enduring and being frustrated, thinking that I can't do this, thinking I'm not good enough, thinking I'm not intelligent, and all those labels that can really begin to develop over time and really impact our mindset around learning and life in general.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that answer. Now, I hear dyslexia is a gift all the time. And sometimes I sit back and think, well, really? Where is this gift that I can't tap into? I can't spell my name today. This gift everybody talks about. So, how sometimes I overcome that is by using my strengths to the best of my ability. Because the things that I really, really struggle with, if I hammer on it, I could sit here all day without doing anything. And there are many things that are a real hurdle for me. And I know many people who might be watching may sort of say, look, I'm actually struggling with so and so forth. So this gift thing is great that we use these words, but I think for me, I tend to kind of say to people, look, tap into your strength and just run with it. That's what the gift can become. If you tap into your strength and run with it. I just want to quickly say hello to, not too sure if I can pronounce her name, but I'll try. Is it Chima or Chioma? Something, yeah, maybe like that. Please forgive me if I've pronounced that wrong, simply because I'm trying to kind of understand what's written there. So I can say, and I think maybe I should put my glasses on to help me read it better. But welcome and thank you so much for joining HY Dyslexia. She said dyslexia is a gift, support network is key. Thanks, David, for sharing. I do agree. I do 100% agree. But working on the ground at A2I Dyslexia, I see the tears firsthand. I see the frustration firsthand. I see the, the disappointment and giving up. I see these all the time. And our job at A2I is to encourage the individual to keep going, with the support and the workshops and all the other things that we do. So it is great. And I do agree that it's a gift. But we always say, look, because I remember going to give a talk. Someone said to me, "You're going on about how gifted this is," and I don't see it that way. So then I had to break it down. So it's great that we can actually look at both sides of the coin. David, I'm going to dive straight into my first question. I don't really want to spend too much time, sort of talking about one particular area. I'm going to dive straight into my first question. What has been one of the highlights of setting up your business as a dyslexic?
That's a great question, Elizabeth. That's a wonderful question to ask. For me, the highlights for me is feeling liberated to share my story. For a long time, I felt very much embarrassed about my story, about my struggles in education and its impact on my language and communication and my attainments. But I've come to realize that all of us have a story to share. And that story is designed to liberate, encourage, empower people to really tap into their potential and be the best that they can be. And so the whole ethos of potential unlocked is designed to empower people to see their potential with their mind's eye, but equally to see the glass ceiling, the glass wall that surrounds them, and having a strategy in place to break through of the limitations of I can't, I'm not good enough, and those limiting beliefs around who you can become. Because the reality is, this is our reality. We are all destined for greatness. And if you're watching this evening, I want to encourage you that you got potential inside of you to be unlocked. I'll say it to you again, you have potential inside of you to be unlocked, and you are destined for greatness. But when you're going to see your potential and believe that you are able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all you can ever ask or think, because you are destined for greatness. And so my passion, or what stood to me, is use my story as a tool to really inspire people around who you can become, and helping people to see that, irrespective of your story, irrespective of your challenges, frustrations, and everything in between, you still are worthy to be successful and to have a fulfilled life, to be successful in your own sphere of influence, and to be transformed from being locked to being unlocked and having your potential unlocked.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, David. I'm actually reaching out to a flyer about some statistics that I can share with our viewers today. Heather says, love it. Oh, Heather, hello. It's been a very long time. She always joins our show, so it's great that she joined this evening. She said, you are worthy to be successful, and that's so true. I 100% agree with her on that one. I just want to quickly share some stats here. 1 in every 10 in the UK has some degree of dyslexia. Right, okay, glasses come back on because I can see all the mistakes happening now. I'm just going to stick my glasses back on. Okay, now, when it does go on. Right, and then we have 4 out of 10 unemployed people using Job Centre Plus are dyslexic. And that's a survey that was done, a research that was done rather, in the House of Commons in June 2012. 10% of the population are dyslexic and 4% severely so. So dyslexia is defined as a disability according to the Equality Act 2010. Now, I'm coming on to the next statistic, which I think is really, really important. 20% of UK business self-starters have dyslexia, according to the Cass Business School, London 2015. Now, you set up your own business, David, and I think this is how I'm thinking. Listen, I'm going to do it my way, and it's going to work my way. Because of the creative mind, because of the problem-solving skills, the empathy, and all the things we do that's so great. You did it your way, and it's worked really well. When my back was against the wall, I was going to do it my way, because I thought, look, I'm going to go into work for somebody. They're not going to get me. I'm not going to get them. Listen, it's going to be backwards and forward. I'm going to do it my way. So I did it, and it worked for me. Huge struggles, but I got there in the end. Now, the only thing I wanted to say, David, someone might be watching and think, I really, really want to set up my own business. We make it sound very simple. my dyslexic journey, and listen, you can do it. What was one of the most difficult times of setting up your own business as a dyslexic? We've spoken about the highlights. What about the difficulties? Or
That's a
something,
great
or something that you thought, I don't know if I can do this, and probably thought, do I give up or do I continue?
that's a great question.
Mm.
That's a great question. I think it's come to a realization that irrespective of your struggles and shortcomings, that you're worthy to be successful, and understanding and being aware that whatever we think, we become,
Mhm.
and what we can see around us is only a reflection of our mindset, and we can only go as far as what we believe is possible. And so, if we believe it is impossible, you're right, it is impossible. If you believe it is possible, you're right, it is possible. So why not believe it is possible? And so what I would say is it's believing in your ability to be successful. For me, I've come to understand where my gifts actually lie. And so what I do, I will lead my team through my gift. So my gift is heavily weighted around training, around speaking, around motivating, around improving the company through systemization. So they are some of my gifts that I'm really really good at. So the key thing is to be very much aware of your strengths, aware of your areas of development, and to build a team around you of people that can support you in where you need that support because it's not your strength. So for me, my developmental area is administration. Now, give me a crowd. I can talk to people. Administration is not my strength in the slightest. So I built a team of people who can do my administration for me, and to be support in that regard. So what I would say to any person watching is be very much aware of what your gift actually is, and building your team around your gift. So if you've got a natural flair for numbers, work on numbers as your primary vocation, build a team around you to support you in other areas. If your gift is more so around training, you did a training, build a team. So build a team to support you in areas that is not your flow, because the reality is, being a dyslexic person, we are creative, and creativity is linked to your gift and to your talents. So what you find is that when you are in flow, when you are in what I call the vocational paradigm, where we lose conscious of the time, where we feel really joyful, we get really much animated, we lose track of time, we get things done to a high level. That's your flow. That's where your gifts lie. Focus on your gift, and in doing so, you will flourish in ways that you thought is impossible. Because the reality is, when you are in your gift to encourage you, there is no competition. I'll say it to you again. When you are in your gift, there is no competition. Because if your name is Angela, there's no other Angela other than you. If your name is John, there's no other John apart from you. And so when you are in your gift, you are not a carbon copy. You have a unique blend of gifts and talents that is unique to you, and as such you will attract a certain type of audience because you are in your flow, you're in your gift. So I just felt led to say that, really. I felt they need to say that when you are in your gift, you're not in competition, you are operating, making an impact through your gift.
Wonderful. That's really, really great, honestly. And I really resonate with exactly what you're saying, because I know that when I was working for corporate, I wasn't in my gift, by the way. I fell drastically, absolutely fell drastically. And when I did find, I mean, a lot of people say to me, oh, you find your passion and you're running with it. And I said, look, it came from a very frustrating place where I really needed I needed to work, and I needed to also do a job that I think I'm capable of doing. And like I always say live on our show, that A2I was born out of frustration. It's like I really want some help with my dyslexia, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I went about setting one up with £1.25, like you do, David. £1.25 would go a long way, wouldn't it? I kept saying to myself until my back was against the wall, and I kept going because I believed in it and I knew it would work. And that's really part of my journey. But your entrepreneur journey is absolutely phenomenal, in the sense that you're an author, you're a motivational speaker, you're unlocking potential with young people. I know your award ceremonies, so like, tickets are sold out, and you're doing really, really amazing work, David. And you're a great, true inspiration to our Black community. And I really want to honor that and make you understand how important it is with the work that you're currently doing, particularly our young Black boys who want to see a role model and somebody who looks like them and say, look, I achieve or aspire to be like David C. Hall. Now, your book. I know you're giving some books away, and I want to give you that chance to talk about it just before, so that I don't forget, because I think it's really important that you're able to do this. So I'm going to give you the platform to actually share that, and then I'll come back to a comment that Dr. Heather posted on there. So, David, the floor's all yours to tell us about the books that you're giving away. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. So I have a gift for you today, for those that are watching. So as I said, I'm a published author, best-selling author, I mean to say, of my second book, called Inspire Your Child's Greatness, because I believe you who are watching, you got greatness inside of you, and so have your children. So this book is designed to help you to inspire the greatness in the children who are in your care, or if you're an educator or policymaker, to inspire the greatness in them also. So this book is designed to take children from the place of struggle to a place of their success, so they can be fulfilled, successful, and to be transformed also. So here's a gift from me to you. Here's a gift. I'd like you to head over, please, to our website, www.potentialunlocked.com/free-guide. Leave your details there, and for the first 5 people to provide their details, you get a free copy from me to you, posted out to you. How's that sound to you? So if you're ready to inspire greatness in your child, to help them to flourish, to have what I call the vocational paradigm, where they are in a business or in a job that they're passionate about and being paid their worth, being fulfilled, being successful, having meaningful relationships, being a influence in their sphere of influence, this book is for you, to be a part of creating a movement of young people who are in vocational paradigm and being a positive contributor to society, but most importantly, that they have their potential unlocked to be in a gift and talent, making a difference and being paid their worth.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, David. I just felt it was so important to kind of drop that right in the middle of the show, because I know my brain. I would probably come out and think, oh, I forgot to mention that. So it's just great that you were able to share it right now. And I just want to say to our viewers, don't worry if you didn't capture any of all those information, because we will post the website and the deadline date with this video when we finish on all our social media platforms. So you'll be able to, head over and get your copy. David did say the first 5. So I think actually get there before me if you can. I hope I can get there as well, David. Because it's great that you're able to give this away as well. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for doing that. Now, if you just join us, we're talking about dyslexia, my entrepreneurial journey. We have the amazing author, David C. Hall, who's doing great work within both in education, in the workplace, and, within I wouldn't say just dyslexia. I mean, you just help everybody, don't you? All young people. It's not just young people with dyslexia. All young people across the board. Yeah. So do reach out and connect with David. David's on LinkedIn, so you can find him on LinkedIn. You can also go to his website, which we will post with this video after. Now, I'm just going to go to my producer and just say if she can post something that Dr. Heather put on the comment box. That would be really great. It's just a message that came before David started talking about the free book. So Dr. Heather said, if you believe it is possible, it is possible. If you believe it is impossible, then it's impossible. And I think it is actually, that's it in a nutshell. And sometimes it's the mindset as well that I can do this and I will do it, no matter what it takes me and how it takes me. Because I'm one of these people, because I've always been labeled as a failure. I don't want to hear that word. So I will keep going till I've done it. It may take me long. I may not get it to you in, I don't know, a week's time or whenever you want it. But I'll make sure that if it means staying up all night to do whatever it is, I will. And I believe that I can and I will. And this is as a result of why HY still exists and we're still here, supporting our community. David, let me go straight to my question. Actually, before I go there is Nisa has actually posted something. He said, "Thank you, at Elia. I'm grateful for this resource. I am a Black woman living in Netherlands. It's hard to find people to connect with. Happy to see these successful people in the online communities. It's so amazing.
Ah,
So amazing. I mean, I would say, is it Nisa, do you think, or Nessa? I'm trying to, what do you think, David? How do you pronounce that name? Is it
I
Nessa?
think it's
Nisa?
possibly Nessa, I believe.
Nessa? Okay.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
that's me with my dyslexia because I have to break it all down. I have to hear it before I'll be able to pronounce it. And I think it's great. This is why we do the job we do. We're online because people can tap into this and go back and watch it and just feel that, look, I'm not alone. There are other people that also need the support, rather than not being on, because when we went online, I don't know where people would have found all this information. And if I have to say, I think we both have to give pat on our back, really, David, for still standing and doing what we're doing and being, successful in the work that we do to reach out to people, because we're about supporting people and helping people to unlock their full
absolutely.
potential. Yeah, awesome stuff. So Nisa, you're more than welcome to keep joining us. It's a great community here. Please do connect with us and do share it if you've joined us now. Give us the thumbs up, the like, and all that goes with being live today. Talk about all things dyslexia. I'm going to move on to my next question, David. What advice would you give to someone watching who's from a Black community and want to start their own business?
Another great question. 2 moments, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. What I would say to you, essentially, is the result that we're achieving right now is a reflection of our mindsets and also a reflection of our action and inaction. And those actions is heavily weighted on the principles that we follow. And I will explain. And so the key thing to understand here is that if we're not happy with the result that we are achieving in our life right now at this point in time, we got to begin to take stock of our mindset that creates that result and also our actions and inaction. But the point I want to labor on right now essentially has to deal with principles that govern success. They are no respecters of person. So we could be of a white descent, we could be of a Black descent, whatever ethnicity we may come from. But the key thing to understand is principles that govern success are no respecters of persons.
Mhm.
Our job essentially is to understand that we are destined for greatness. If you understand this truth, that you got potential inside of you to be unlocked, and more so still to understand actually, providing we have the right mindset, that we believe that we can, we see ourselves as successful through our mind's eye, and we adopt the right principles that govern success. Guess what? Greatness becomes automatic, success becomes automatic, because the reality is the right actions and the right mindset gives you the results that you're looking for.
Right. Now, you and I know, David, that setting up a business isn't that straightforward. It isn't. It's first of all, you have the idea, you want to do this. For me, particularly, I speak from my experience. I thought this is the idea, and I just want to do it. And I could not foresee the potholes along the way, the disappointments along the way, the stresses, the not being able to do a task, the members of staff that you need, the resources that you need to be able to make your business stand. And we get lots of phone calls and emails where people say, look, I've got a great idea. I don't know how to take it to the next level. What advice would you give? I might have already asked you this, but someone has got a brilliant idea, but they don't know what level. How do they move from there to make their business stand, even in the first year? What advice would you give around that?
Okay, that's another great question. What I would say that having an idea that you believe in, that's aligned to your values, and having a vision. And I'm going to backtrack here slightly. The idea that we have for a business should be linked to your purpose, and I'll explain. Everybody on the face of this earth is put on this earth for a reason. There's a reason for our very existence, and our purpose is always tied to our gifts and talents. and I call them our purpose enablers. So the key thing is, if our business idea is linked to our purpose, the writing a vision will become very simple, because the vision that we have for our business is simply our purpose in a movie. It's the unfolding of the purpose pictorially. That's what a vision is. A vision paints a picture of what is to come. Step number one. So once we believe that our business is aligned to our purpose, whatever hurdle you may come across in the future, you are unstoppable. You cannot be stopped. There will be setbacks, but you cannot be stopped. Step number one. And then what I'll say to you then, I do apologize, is to seek out a mentor, somebody who can guide you, somebody who can give you practical advice around these are the potential potholes. Walk over here to avoid these potholes, or do it this way potentially to avoid those potholes. And then, in a very practical way, once you have your vision written down, and it's written down, and it's plain, you understand your vision and so on, and you understand your purpose. Next step then to begin to understand how a business is actually organized, arranged. And so, as the visionary, you are the director to direct your company. So I want to imagine a choir, if you will. A choir is there to direct the sound. There's a sound of an amazing choir. You have your tenor, your alto, sopranos. They will sing in harmony. The director will direct the sound. As a business, you direct the sound of your business. You direct the impact of your business. You direct the legacy of your business. You direct the results that you want to achieve for your business, through your team. And so, with that said, there are three key components of a company or an enterprise, and that is your operations. The operation is about how your vision translates into practical means, or your products, that is. So, for example, your vision will translate into operations. So your customer experience your vision through solving a particular problem. So an entrepreneur is somebody who solves meaningful problems, gets paid for solving that problem. Being a dyslexic is somebody who's very creative and is able to creatively think of a solution to those problems. And that's what an entrepreneur does. So dyslexic has that advantage. That's your gift. Can you solve problems being dyslexic? Another key aspect of your business is around finances. So having basic understanding around accounting, so balance sheets, income and expense sheets, or profit and loss account even. Being very much aware of your break-even point. Being very much aware of how to read a balance sheet effectively, how to read the profit and loss accounts, how to analyze your accounts, that's your finance aspect. And lastly, marketing. How do you intend on conveying your message in a way that will resonate with people so they want to buy your service or product?
Yeah.
So they're the three key areas of your company that you must have a firm handle on. And as I said to you earlier, be much aware of your gift, know what your gift is, and your job is to occupy that gift, so that you're able then to build a team around you who can support you, maybe in the marketing, maybe in the financial aspects of your company, so you can really flourish. But the key thing is sometimes we can feel, I can see a comment here, but something about an overwhelm. The idea then is to be very much aware of the mountain, which simplifies an overwhelm, but equally to understand that a mountain is made up of stones. So nobody would go to a mountain and go, move. You go to the mountain and pick away, and by doing so, you're able to bring the mountain down. So it's about having a strategic plan in place, for which we're able to plan things out with a team around you who understand your vision and who are passionate about what you're trying to achieve.
Thank you so much for that, David. Honestly, you answered that really, really well. And I think Nessa's question there is really, really interesting. Now, everything you mentioned there, the accounts and setting up business and, your staff and your marketing, that's something that I never even looked at when I was starting my business. I just thought, there we go, we're going to start a business, and thought it was just going to run. It was going to run by itself. Now, there's been many, many times, David, I'll be honest with you, when I've looked back and think, oh my goodness, I never thought that it was going to be this difficult. But there are many times also. And I think for me, job satisfaction is when someone comes to us and they leave with whatever the query they come with, they've left that place and moved on to good things or better things. That's job satisfaction for us at A2I Dyslexia. So when I balance the two and think, okay, it's been really stressful today, but guess what? Joe Bloggs had managed to maybe finish their degree and moved on to a job, or due to some of the workshops that we run, they've managed to go and find work, or they've gone to training or anything like that. And that's real. You couldn't put a price on that. Because people come to us and most people who will come to us for the help will be like, look, I don't know which way to go from here. And 9 out of 10, they walk out of our workshops and events and training and everything that we do, unlocking their full potential. I'm just going to go back to, if our producer just put the question there again, so I can just read Nessa's question. How do you deal with the beginning stages of setting up in the business, which you've explained? The overwhelming amount of tasks given has given me fear and procrastination. I think we all procrastinate, don't we, David? Because I know I do.
Yeah.
And then it's like, right, okay, there's a deadline. I've got to meet it now. And it's like, stay up till the next morning to get all those funding applications or whatever evaluation that I need to do. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I think overwhelm can come from, and it's good to have an understanding what fear actually is. Fear, as you may have heard it before, is false evidence appearing real. So it's built on the premise of things that could happen as opposed to what's actually happening. And the way that we combat the fear is by beginning to plan our strategy. So be very much aware of our purpose and our vision. Be very much aware of where we want to go in the future, and then working it back. So the vision from the financial point of view, how much money do you want to be earning to maintain a particular lifestyle? What impacts do you want to be having in society? What do you want to be known for as part of your vision? How many people do you want to be serving? How will you give the talent help the vision to come to fruition? And then working it back. But the key thing here as well, as I said before, is wherever there's a deficit in terms of our skill sets, we seek to outsource it to people who's got a strength in those areas. And so, for example, if our strength isn't planning, they get someone on board who is a strategic planner, so they can sit you down, they can ask you thought-provoking questions around what it is you're trying to achieve. They can help you to ask. They can ask you some powerful questions to work it back and to formulate a plan that will break down your achievements into manageable milestones, so it's manageable, and to eliminate or mitigate the feeling of feeling overwhelmed, as it were.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, David. That's really, really an amazing answer that you've given there. Right, okay, so last but not least, I have to ask you this question. Yeah. Tell me a bit more about Potential Unlocked and whereabouts are you based? I know you're not in London. Tell me where you are, David, because I've forgotten. I know you've spoken to me before, but I've completely forgotten whereabouts you're based. And there's that work that you do with the young people. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So Potential Unlocked, we are based in Birmingham, but work with young people, children, and adults across the country. In terms of what we do, was that your question, Elizabeth? What we
Yeah,
do?
yeah.
Yeah. So we work with people. When I say people, I'm referring to children, young people, and adults, to really help them to see their potential and have that potential unlocked, to really take away, to help them to develop what I call empowering thoughts or winning thoughts, so they can begin to set in motion their success that they're wanting to achieve. And we do that through our Inspire Your Greatness programs and designs to take, it's based on my latest book. We go through my methodology, which looks at 7 key areas needed to really live that fulfilled life, that successful life, and to be transformed from somebody who wasn't flourishing at their full potential to somebody who is flourishing and fulfilled, successful, and so on. And so, the first step that we go through for our programs is to be very much clear around what it is you want to achieve, because the reality is, unless we can see it through our mind's eye, it will never happen. We got to see our success through our mind's eye, see it as it being possible, see it as something that will happen in due course. And so we begin to work around developing that winning mindset around what you can succeed. Christine, who worked for NASA in the 1960s. She was featured in a film called Hidden Figures, and she saw through her mind's eye that she could formulate a calculation that we use one day to support Mr. Armstrong with being the first man to walk on the moon. But that was impossible without her input with formulating the calculation necessary for that to become her reality. So she saw with her mind that being possible. Remember, all things are possible to those who believe. So seeing it through your mind's eye as it being possible, then guess what? It is possible and will become your reality. And the second thing that we'll look at through our program is being very much aware of the environment. So I want to speak to you now in a analogy. If you plant a plant in a hostile environment where there is no water, there's not no sunshine, the plant will grow, but the plant will not flourish. Give the plant the right sunshine, water, the right nutrients, the plant will flourish. Children, young people, and adults, we all are a product of our environment. And so the key thing here is that we have an environment that is conducive to our picture of success. When we can see ourselves as being successful, we are in the right environment that will support that success. Guess what? We're going full steam. But equally, it's about being understanding that we are what we do daily lends itself well to what we will become our reality. And so the reality is looking at our activity today is a forecast of what is to come. And so many times we say we want to be financially astute and be financially stable. But if we don't spend money right with financial habits, then that would not become the reality. But by adopting the right principles around um, financial success, that will become the reality. So developing the right daily activities to support the success. And then we go into partnership working, that no man is an island. We need a power team behind us to really leverage that success. Success is a team sport. There's no I in team, there's no me in team, but there's we, us, and our in team. And what I'll say then essentially is about being very much aware of what I call how we learn. Learning is a skill. And
Mhm.
so all very common, maybe an adult who are feel a bit trapped, as it were, in a career because they feel they want to have a promotion or they want to start a business, but they haven't understood how to learn effectively. They feel a bit frustrated and they want a job just to pay their bills. But the reality is they are intelligent, but all they need is a clear learning strategy that will help them to develop the skill around long life learning, so they're able to be mobilized in a career that they're passionate about by learning how to read effectively, by learning how to memorize information, by learning effectively how to perform on exams, and that's based on a phenomenon around how the mind is able to make connections with prior knowledge and so on. And then the last two principles is around passion. So
Mm.
many times people are in what I call the occupational paradigm, where we are in a job because it seems to pay the bills. I want to say to you today, if you're watching, that is not your portion. Your portion is to be in vocational paradigm. But what I explain further, you are in occupational paradigm if you are in a job or business because it pays the bills. You know if you're there, and as the word suggests, occupation means to occupy your time with paying the bills. You know when you're there when you start work at 9 a.m. in the morning, and by 10 past 9 you're thinking, what time is it? Oh, only 10 minutes. And then like you count down to lunchtime, and then lunchtime comes, think, oh, I'm free for an hour. And you go out to work, you think, oh, I've got another 4 hours to go. And then it counts down to Friday, and then Friday comes, think, wait, hooray, it's Friday. Got a weekend to myself. And then you're thinking, where's my next holiday? Where's my next um weekend? If this is you, you are in occupational paradigm. You deserve better. It is your portion to be in what I called the vocational paradigm. When vocation means in a Latin, your calling, which is your gifts and talents. When you create a living in alignment to your gifts and talents, that's when you are doing your true work. That's when you are working and 5 hours seems like 10 minutes because you're so engrossed in what you're doing. And people around you will tell you, I just sense that this is your calling because there's
Yeah.
a difference with you. You know, you're doing what you're passionate about. You're very upbeat. You can't wait to go to work to make a difference, to make an impact. And lastly, path. What path are you on right now? Are you pleased with your path? So I want to encourage you today, you know, you are destined for greatness. You got potential to be unlocked. You have potential to be unlocked inside of you. You can be anything, but when you first conceive it with your mind as being possible, you will have that and more abundance. You desire to have
Wonderful.
life in abundance. That's your
Thank
portion.
you. Thank you so much, David. But I just want to quickly go back to a question that was put here. Hello, Caroline. I think it's Carolina who had a question that she wanted to ask, and she's joined us on LinkedIn. And so this is fantastic. My 3 children and I are neurodiverse. My eldest daughter is dyslexic and suspected autistic. Middle daughter is autistic. My son, ADHD, suspected autism, and I'm ADHD doer. This information and what David does is so important and so needed. I can see it application to ADHD and autism as well. Now, I just wanted to also say that sometimes people just think, oh, I've got dyslexia, but you can actually have the umbrella of dyslexia, which is ADHD, autism, and so forth. And what Carolina is saying is that she's got family of neurodiverse. And, I think she's kind of saying to us that, what you're speaking about and all the things that you're talking about, it's something that she can resonate with, which is really great. Thank you, Carolina. I'm not too sure where you joined us from, but thank you so much for that question. I think Dr. Heather also had another, maybe was more like to encourage us with this program than a question. And all things are possible to those who believe. Yeah, I believe in that also. And it's strange, actually, David, when you were talking about passion, there are days when I just keep working. I think, oh my God, it's 11 o'clock at night and I've never even stopped. It's because of the passion and what I really stand for. And I believe the job I do is actually a calling. It's something I'm here to do and to serve my community. I'll be honest, David, there are days when I think, right, that's it, I've had enough. I'm going to hand my coat, not doing this anymore. And then I keep going back and thinking, well, what else will you do? Or you look at your members and all the people you serve and you think, actually, I can't really, I have to continue with this and carry on doing what I'm called to do, which is absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure the same thing goes for you, doesn't it, David? In every day you wake up and you look forward to going to serve the people that you
Absolutely.
work with. Yeah. I just quickly want to ask you something, David. Are your programs funded? Are they fully funded, or do people have to pay to attend your the sessions that you run?
Parents pay
Right.
and
Okay.
local authorities in school. Yeah. So, yeah.
So you're not like a CIC or anything like that. It's just private organization that you run.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, this is to our viewers. We will share David's link, and if you've got any questions or if you want to join some of the programs that he runs, and you're doing all this remotely at the moment, aren't you? You're doing all this
Yes,
remotely.
so we deliver our programs both in person and also online as well, for
Right,
sure.
excellent. And what age group? What age does a young person have to be to join?
Yes, so we work with young people, well, children from the age of 5, and we got to young people up to 26.
Wonderful. I just want to say, David, this actually brings us to the end of our program. I could sit here and
That's a
talk to you
shame.
forever. It is
We
a
enjoyed
shame,
it.
but we've actually gone over time, and we were supposed to finish 45 minutes ago. But it was so great listening to your journey and the passion and all the things that you do and how you're making great change within the community where you are. And I just want to bring the show to an end. Is there anything that you want to say to our viewers before we go, like a last sort of advice or thoughts or anything?
Yes, sure. What I'm going to say to you, that are watching, you got potential to be unlocked inside of you. I want to encourage you today that the world is your oyster. I want to encourage you today to see your glass wall as your opportunity to break free and to be all that you're purposed to be. You got potential inside of you to be unlocked.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. On that note, we're going to have to say thank you to everybody who joined us. No matter where you joined us from, I want to say thank you so much for connecting with us. Thank you for supporting the work that we do. I want to say thank you to the Black Funding Network for funding us to run these live shows, and also to our viewers and our listeners. A massive thank you to Yola, who's our producer in the background, and also to the great Aaliyah who does all the research, who found David to come on our live show, and many people that you found who have come on our live show to share their experience with living with dyslexia and other neurodiverse conditions. Thank you, everybody. I want to say goodbye for now. See you next week, same time, same place with a different topic. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you.